Police in Thailand say they've nabbed another suspect in the Erawan Shrine attack. This time it may be the man in the yellow shirt. For the third time in as many weeks, an explosion rocks a storage facility in China. Plus, ahead of Xi's visit, the United States looks to invoke sanctions against China. Those stories are coming up next. This is the Asia Brief. Good morning, everyone, on this fantastic hump day, September 2nd, 2015. My name, of course, is Steve Miller, and I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today. Now, before we get into the news, just a friendly reminder that today is the first Wednesday of the month, so that means this evening at 22:30 Seoul, Tokyo time, or 1:30 p.m. UTC, I'll be joining Hiko Simon for a monthly unscripted water cooler discussion of Asian news. Now, if you have any topics you'd like us to talk about this evening, please let me know. And as well, I hope you can join us live. I'll be sharing the link to that live discussion, which will be taking place on Hiko Simon's YouTube channel. And you'll be able to find those in the Twitter and Facebook feeds, not only for myself, but for Asian News Weekly. And since it is a rather late broadcast, 10:30 p.m. here in Seoul, Tokyo, we wrap up sometime around 11:30 midnight. I won't be putting out an Asia Brief podcast tomorrow since I need a little extra sleep time, but I will have one for you on Friday. All right, that being said, let's begin with the latest from Thailand. I mentioned yesterday how the pace of the investigation in Thailand was speeding up, whether through police work or just a mad grab to get something done and repair the damaged reputation of the police forces. The latest development occurred yesterday, when it was announced that another suspect had been arrested. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha held a press conference, heard here through an interpreter.
Arrested, yes, arrested. One more guy, yes, at Sakeo. Police have had a lot of checkpoints. When they find someone suspicious, they have to arrest. As it turned out, this man looks similar to the man police were looking for. We have to do a lot of tests, fingerprints, DNA. If he's the guy, he's the guy. At the border, on our territory. He was probably trying to escape. We are investigating.
The suspect, the second to be taken into custody, and is now undergoing military interrogation. The suspect is being painted as someone of importance and appears to bear a resemblance to the man in yellow. The location where the arrest took place has been reported by Thai authorities as one where immigration officers neglected their duties. Authorities on Tuesday also released a photograph of a Turkish man and sketches of two other men for whom arrest warrants have been issued for, quote, illegal possession of explosives, end quote. In another development, the Thai woman currently being sought in conjunction with the bombing appears to have been out of the country for some time. Several media outlets have quoted the chief of her local village saying the woman has been in Turkey for months with her Turkish husband and declared that she had absolutely no knowledge of the bombing. At one point, it was even reported that she would return to Thailand to answer questions and clear her name. While no group has stepped forward claiming responsibility, several believe the attacks are linked to Thailand's decision to repatriate over 100 Uyghurs to China. It was a move condemned by Uyghur rights groups and other humanitarian organizations. With the release of information from the police, it appears they are ultimately trying to make that the case. The arrests are a way to ease people's fears about the safety of Thailand, which the government is actively trying to do in order to prevent tourism from slipping. But unless authorities start releasing facts related to how these individuals are directly linked to the horrific crime, it may be nothing more than a roundup of the usual suspects. It's happened again. A chemical factory in eastern China was the site of another explosion. Thus far, Chinese state media is reporting one fatality. The blast occurred at the Shandong Binyuan Chemical Company, where another explosion took place last week. The resulting fire took 5 hours to extinguish, and executives from the company have been reportedly detained. The fire is under investigation, but based on past instances, the event seemed to indicate a severe lack of adherence to safety protocols. It should be noted that there have been some crazy ideas about the explosions in Tianjin, that they are actually the work of the United States. A way of warning the Chinese not to spark a currency war that would crash the dollar and wreck the United States economy. The theories even go as far to say that the attack originated from space-based weaponry. While little credence is given to this and similar theories, those that believe it are correct in pointing out that released information from the scene is being highly controlled, and many of the pertinent details, like working theories as to what initiated the blasts, have yet to be released. The continued occurrence of similar events is only going to raise suspicions and decrease trust. Monday, it was announced the White House was mulling economic sanctions against Chinese firms and individuals that profited from cyber attacks on American businesses. The administration is pursuing a comprehensive strategy to confront such actors, the official said, noting the proposed plan would include diplomatic engagement, trade policy tools, law enforcement mechanisms, and imposing sanctions on individuals or entities. Now, all of that sounds great, but actually sounds like a bunch of talk with few actionable steps. Nothing the United States has done in this field has proven effective at stopping hackers, whether they're from China or other domestic organizations. The truth of the matter is, hackers are simply better than those charged with defending information. James Lewis, a cybersecurity expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said, quote, "The main point here is to send a message to the Chinese. It lets them know that there's a cost to doing this, which is something they didn't have to think about before. It helps reframe the debate. It's not like Xi is going to come in and say, 'I'm sorry, you're right, it'll never happen again.' But it does tell the Chinese, you're not going to be able to try and pretend cyber espionage didn't happen." End quote. I disagree. I think that's exactly what China will do, and anything the United States tries to implement will have little to no effect. Well, my friends, those are today's stories, and I hope you'll let me know your thoughts by sharing them in the comments on Facebook or Twitter. 2 reminders before I go. Tonight at 10:30 p.m. Seoul, Tokyo time, which is 1:30 p.m. Universal. You can join us live for What's Up Asia on Hiko Simon's YouTube channel. Look for the links in our Facebook and Twitter feeds. And because of that late program, there won't be any Asia Brief tomorrow. Also on Friday, there won't be an Asia News Weekly podcast, but I will put together a special Asia Brief just for you. The Asia Brief is a special feature of the Asia News Weekly podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share it with your friends, and if you haven't, subscribe. Subscribing is free, and when you do, the next episode is delivered automatically to you. You can subscribe on our website, asianewsweekly.net, or in your favorite podcast application. You can also keep up with more news from the region by following Asia News Weekly on Facebook or Twitter. And if you have any comments, questions, or feedback, be sure to drop us a line. That email address is podcast@asianewsweekly.net. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, remember to be true to yourself and to always be awesome.